satisfied?
Shit, that's why it would work.
What?
Go for it.
So that's
I just dropped it in there.
Like right after you told me, because again, I was being a fangirl. So talk about how getting on the show unfolded.
Well, actually, I used to work at a movie theater up in Columbia, and all of my coworkers at this theater, we would get together after work on weekends, and we would go over to someone's house and sit in there and enjoying some beverages, and we would watch American Gladiators. And that's whenever they decided
I got this
that,
from Casey's, no?
you really just need to try this.
It works.
There was 4 tryout locations across the country, and one of them was St. Louis. So I thought, that's not too far away. So they all said, you need to go. You need to go try out. I said, well, I'm not in shape. I like to run, but I'm not in shape. I'm not a bodybuilder. I can't do that. You could do it. You could do it. So they encouraged me, and in December of 1989, I drove to St. Louis, to the Armory over there, and tried out with about 4,000 to 5,000 other people.
That is wild. So you tried out against 4,000 to 5,000 people, and how did you end up doing?
Well, the first thing they had you do was to weed people out, because you had to run a 40-yard dash in so many seconds. And it was the men and the women, and this guy said, hey, why don't you run with me? Because if you run with me, hopefully you'll be fast enough and you can move on to the next round. I said, okay. I didn't know who this guy was. I'm like, sure. So I ran. I said, okay, you make it. Great. So the next one was you had to do pull-ups. And I forget how many. I mean, I had to do like 3 pull-ups in 40 seconds or something. So that wasn't a problem. So I thought, okay. So I did my pull-ups. They said, okay, now you get to go on and compete in the rest of the events. And it was similar events to what was on the show at the time. And like a form of Powerball and several others. So I just kept competing all day. And then they pulled you aside. Those that they liked and competed well in those events, they pulled you aside in an interview. And asked some strange questions like, who's the most famous person you'd run and have dinner with? And they just wanted to see what you would say and how you could talk and interview. And how you might look on camera. They filmed it, they taped it. And so I did an interview and went home thinking, that was fun for the day. I won't hear anything more from them, but it turned out good.
So they called you back, and what did they say?
Well, they called me a few weeks later and said, we're from the Gladiator show, and you tried out in St. Louis, and you're in the top 15. Are you still interested in being on the show? And I thought, hey, top 15 in the St. Louis area out of all those thousands, that's pretty cool. I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah.
And they said, no. Top 15 across the country of all of our tryouts. I'm like, oh, what? So I thought, well, they said, sure. When do I go out there? They said, well, it'll be at the beginning of January. And I'm like, okay, it's right around the corner, sure. So they called me back about a week later and said, pack your bags, you're coming out. You're in the top 10. You're in the top 10 females across the country and compete on the show out in Hollywood.
So how did the competition go?
Well, the first few days you're out there, they let us practice and train. And then we started the whole entire season, all 13 episodes, was going to be taped in those 2 weeks. And as soon as you lost, like in your round, you were supposed to leave. I said, okay, I'm fine with that. So we were at, the studios out there, Hollywood studios. They outfitted us with clothes and shoes and that kind of stuff. And I thought it was pretty cool. And then they started having us practice, and then we started competing. I think I was on like day 2 or day 3 or so. And they were trying to train us how to use the pugil stick and how to joust and kind of let us practice, Powerball a little bit. And oh my gosh, those balls are coming really fast. Left bruises, so I got bruised up and just crap, this is gonna be rough. But they told us, don't interact with the gladiators because you don't want to piss them off. You don't want to upset them because they'll come after you. And they're obviously a lot bigger. That's the whole point. So I was steering clear. You know, I was like, I don't want them angry at me for any reason. There was a few other female competitors that they did not like. And you could tell on the shows, you can tell. They go after you. If they go after you, you're done. So I just kind of scampered around and just kept smiling and not interacting a whole lot with them. But they were very, very nice people. And actually, at the show, whenever I was taping and got injured a few times, several of them would come up and help me and talk with me. Are you okay? I kept the trainer busy.
Oh, really? Okay, what happened?
Well, I ended up with some pointers. I got thrown to the ground, and so bruised up hips. I already had my legs were bruised up from the tennis balls in practice, and then ended up the joust. That was the big thing. That was the big deal, and that was where it all went down. Was the joust was that. Ended up with dislocated jaw, and so I kept going. So the trainer kind of helped me kind of put it back or enough that where I could at least keep going and competing, because I was almost at the end of the day. And then the last event is where I ended up trying to get through a gladiator and broke my foot in 3 places.
I was going to say, how many bones did you end up breaking?
I broke several bones. Came home in a cast. But they took me to the hospital in Burbank, where they taped the Tonight Show. At the time was Johnny Carson and then Jay Leno in that area. And so that I ended up in the hospital. So did some of the gladiators over time. They ended up in the hospital too.
Oh, yeah.
They were getting hurt and beat up. And there's a whole Netflix show on that.
Really?
So, oh yeah.
Oh, I didn't know
Muscles
that.
and Mayhem.
Muscles and Mayhem.
So if you watch the Netflix series, they talk about from the gladiator's perspective that they got injured and how they were getting injured and the protocols they had to go through, and that they wanted to go on strike and all this kind of stuff. So if you see the female in blue on that show,
Because I kept
you were hurt.
You were on that show.
Yeah, they showed clips of me. I didn't talk to them. It was from the gladiator perspective.
So, do you still have gear from back when, from your appearance? Yeah. Oh, that's stuff you gotta, like, put out there, you know? And
I've got the outfit, the blue outfit. They gave me a warm-up suit. They gave me shoes, socks.
you should wear that to the Capitol to work, you know? You gotta incorporate that stuff.
No, because
Your gladiator days are over.
I think they're over. I can't believe I'm worse than that stuff. I'm like, thank goodness that is a lot thinner than this one.
Well, I will say, you know, I did watch the video, so there's this Zim versus Zach video out there, and then there's like this whole ballad of your entire experience out there.
I don't know who did that.
Your fan club. I have a fan club. I don't know.
I don't know when it was put on, who did that. And I only found out about it a year and a half ago. I was purchasing a car up in Columbia and at the dealership, and one of them came in and said, I knew you. He goes, you're in the ballad of Zimbabwe Sports. I'm like, holy crap, what are you talking about? So he showed it to me. I'm like, I didn't know that existed. It's pretty cool. But most people know by Zim. It's short for Zimbabwe. So on the show they just put Zimbabwe. They thought it was cooler just to put Zimbabwe.
This has been a great conversation.
Well, thank you.
You should write a book.
Oh, I am. I'm gonna learn.
This will be like chapter 1 of the Zim story.
The tale of Zim.
There you go. All right. Missouri Capitol Police Chief Zim Schwartz. This is Show Me Today, the voice of Missouri.
Over the past few years, the COVID-19 pandemic has affected how we live our daily lives. Today, we also face a mental health pandemic that threatens our well-being as we attempt to rebuild our social networks and communities.
The pandemic has reminded us to value family, community, and our human connections. However, it has also left many of us feeling more isolated, confused, and alone, struggling to find meaning amid amid loss and uncertainty.
Today, 1 in 5 Americans experience emotional and mental health challenges. But many of us do not understand what we are facing or know how to ask for help.
At the American Psychiatric Association Foundation, we understand what you are going through, and we are here to help. Our vision is to build a mentally healthy nation for all. We work every day to eliminate stigma, combat mental illness and substance use disorders, and advance mental health. If you or someone you love needs help, you are not alone. Please visit mentallyhealthynation.org to learn more.
The first 3 years of every child's life are critical. Learn more about early intervention. How your baby or toddler plays, learns, talks, acts, and moves give important clues as to how they are developing. If you have any questions or concerns about whether your baby or toddler's development is on track, please call 1-800-515-BABY. That's 1-800-515-2229. Call 1-800-515-BABY. That's 1-800-515-2229.
I finally got a new helmet.
I did. Bought it cheap online. Follow me. We'll turn off here.
I'm right behind you.
Watch the cars. It can be crazy.
Are you okay? Somebody do something.
Was this young man hit by a car?
Yes, and his helmet is smashed. It's a brand new helmet.
It's probably a fake. Fakes cause real harm. You're smart. I'm smart. Brought to you by the National Crime Prevention Council and the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office.
St. Joseph Sports Commission's Friday Night Lights on KFEQ. Starting at 10 p.m. Friday nights. 2 hours of local football coverage. Starting August 29th. Hear scores and local highlights from area schools. 8-man, 11-man, class 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We've got them all.